topping, as I said. So let's go back to the Hunter Biden courtroom. The judge has just asked Hunter's attorney, Abby Lowell, if the guilty plea is in Hunter's best interest. And his attorney, Abby Lowell, says yes. Hunter says he is under no pressure to enter a guilty plea, and right now the indictment is being read. So unravel that with me now, Trump 2024 senior advisor and also an attorney to former President Trump and current candidate Alina Habba. Alina, good to have you here today. What do you make of what's going on? I know you were also following what's happening in the D.C. courtroom with regard to President Trump. Yeah. What do you make of this Hunter Biden situation and this sudden guilty plea today?
Well, obviously his lawyers had a meeting and saw what his odds were in terms of a trial and decided that it was in his best interest to file a plea deal. Obviously, I'm sure there was some element of the campaign being relayed in the interest of the Democratic Party and having all this bad press that he's been constantly giving them. I love what your last segment was. I was with the president at his economic stance. I think that's the stuff that the world needs to hear more about. All of this lawfare, and I will say, in a very impartial way, I think it goes on both sides, what we're seeing, and I don't like it. I think it needs to stop. We need to focus on policies, like you've been saying, Martha. What we're hearing, what we heard today from President Trump, economic policies. What are we actually going to do? I don't want to hear about Hunter and how he's evaded all kinds of prison and tax crimes. I frankly don't. I don't want to hear about the lawfare anymore in this country, and I think the American people are tired of it. They want to understand, what are you going to do for me? I don't want to know who Hunter slept with. I don't want to know what the DA in New York is doing while he ignores crime against Trump. I want to hear what you're going to do for my wallet, my home, and my family. And I thought today, frankly, like I said, I was there with President Trump. He did incredibly well articulating that, and I hope we get much more of that. I know that he'll be focusing on that in the future.
Well, you know, in the spirit of what you're saying, obviously there's a lot of legal stuff going on today. And, so I want to ask you about that as well.
Sure.
But with regard to what you're saying, and I just made the comment that this very serious economic policy-oriented former president today that we saw in New York would probably acquit himself well in that on Tuesday night if he sticks to this. What's your understanding? And I asked Corey Lewandowski this the other day of what his debate prep is like. Is it happening? Is he doing debate prep?
Yes, of course. I mean, he's not. Listen, President Trump, he'll say it the best himself, and he spoke to this last night at Town Hall. President Trump is ready, willing, always to debate. He was ready, willing. Yesterday was supposed to be a debate with Kamala on Fox. She declined to do so. Why? Because she can't control Fox News. Well, that says a lot. But President Trump saying, I am ready, I know how to debate, I have done this a ton of times, that does not mean that he doesn't take his job seriously and the severity of the obligation to get these people out of the White House so that he can get back in and clean up the mess. And then we get into all the policies. But we cannot do that if on Tuesday he doesn't do what he does best, which is he's going to destroy her, and not in an angry way, but he's going to do so by talking about policy, by being President Trump that I know, and really getting to the heart of things that the American people miss and need to hear. Hunter Biden, yeah, it's a serious legal issue. The guy's taking a plea agreement. That says a lot. That says that he knew his chances as an attorney were not going to go well in a trial, even though his father has the DOJ, has D.C. That's what happens today, right? We know that we have the New York cases still going on, Jack Smith's indictment, which we had spoken about. But I will tell you this.
You were following that. Let me just interject, if I may.
Sure.
What's going to happen with that? So Jack Smith is trying to redeem his cases, which have fallen apart. Yeah. And he's carved out certain elements of it because the Supreme Court said that a president is immune from official duties, not President Trump in particular. A president is immune from actions taken as official duties. So what are you learning from this Judge Chutkan case, and what you think is going to happen now? Is that case going to go forward? What the timeline look
Much like you said about economic policies, I think it's important, and I love to speak about this, so thank you for asking me that. The American people understand what actually happened. Supreme Court said official acts of the president, any president, like you astutely said, not President Trump, President Biden, President Obama, anybody, if they are official acts done while he is in his office, they are not to be prosecuted. You cannot go into the White House afraid of being civilly or criminally sued for your acts doing what is best at that moment with advisors.
If it's an official act.
100%. Yeah. So now we have a couple things waiting. We have the hush money. Obviously, we're dealing with that garbage case and dealing with a judge that's been incredibly difficult. And with Jack Smith, what has happened was he fell apart like a domino effect. And now he has tried to get a re-indictment, which he got, which pared down basically every flawed item of the Supreme Court. He said, well, maybe if I cut it out, the world will not pay attention to the fact that the documents were toyed with, that the evidence was messed with, that I wasn't properly appointed as Jack Smith, the special counsel. You're not a special counsel. You didn't go through the normal plans. And all those things have been tried. This is, again, look, we know he's not going to get a case done before the election. So this is another headline grab, and that's the problem with our justice system. It can no longer be about headline grabs. It has to be about real justice. Not politics.
Thank you very much, Alina Habba. Great to have you with us.
Thank
you.
Good
to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.